You're a good person. You help others, donate to charity, share what you have, and feel guilty when you have more than the people around you. You believe that wanting wealth is selfish, that focusing on money makes you shallow, and that truly good people should be content with enough. You pride yourself on your generosity, your willingness to help family and friends financially, and your lack of materialistic desires. Yet despite your good heart and moral values, you consistently struggle financially while watching less generous people accumulate wealth around you. You tell yourself that money isn't everything, that you'd rather be poor and good than rich and selfish. But what if I told you that your goodness is actually keeping you poor? Freud discovered something disturbing about morally minded people. The same values that make you a good person create unconscious guilt about wealth that sabotages your financial success. Right now, you probably feel uncomfortable even watching a video about building wealth because part of you believes that wanting money conflicts with being a good person. Your moral identity has become a financial liability that prevents you from building the resources that could actually increase your ability to help others. Tell me in the comments, how often do you feel guilty about wanting more money or worried that building wealth would make you a bad person? I can see from your responses that money guilt affects many of your financial decisions. But here's what Freud discovered about why good people finish poor. You've unconsciously internalized the belief that money and morality are incompatible, creating internal conflict whenever you try to build wealth. This belief usually develops from religious, family, or cultural messaging that portrayed wealth as corrupting, that suggested rich people are inherently selfish, or that taught you that virtue comes from sacrifice rather than abundance. These early messages create unconscious programming where pursuing wealth feels like betraying your moral identity. You might sabotage financial opportunities because success would require becoming someone you've been taught not to be. You might give away money as quickly as you earn it because accumulating wealth feels morally uncomfortable. You might avoid learning about investing or business because these activities feel greedy or materialistic. This creates a psychological ceiling on your wealth where you unconsciously prevent yourself from accumulating money beyond what feels morally acceptable to your identity. The irony is that your financial limitations often prevent you from helping others as much as you'd like to, but you continue choosing poverty over wealth because wealth feels inconsistent with goodness. Your moral values, instead of guiding you toward creating resources for good, actually prevent you from building the financial capacity that effective altruism requires. Your recognition of money-morality conflict shows important self-awareness. But Freud discovered something even more disturbing about good people and money. You often use financial sacrifice as a way to feel virtuous, which creates addiction to struggling that prevents wealth building. When you give money you can't afford to give, when you work for less than your worth to help others, or when you choose financial hardship to avoid feeling selfish, you get psychological rewards that make struggling feel noble and necessary. This creates a feedback loop where financial sacrifice becomes central to your identity as a good person, making wealth building feel like losing an important part of yourself. You become psychologically dependent on being needed financially by others because helping people makes you feel valuable and virtuous. But this dynamic keeps you trapped in cycles where you're always giving away resources that could be building wealth, always prioritizing others' immediate needs over your long-term financial security. The psychological satisfaction of being generous and helpful becomes more important than building the financial foundation that would allow you to help others more effectively over time. You choose the immediate moral satisfaction of giving over the delayed satisfaction of building wealth that could increase your lifetime capacity for generosity. This sacrifice addiction makes poverty feel virtuous, while wealth feels selfish, trapping you in financial limitation disguised as moral superiority. I can see from your comments that sacrifice addiction resonates with your experience. But here's what Freud discovered about the specific psychology that keeps good people poor. You've developed identity around being financially humble, which makes accumulating visible wealth feel like betraying your authentic self. Your self-worth becomes tied to being the person who doesn't care about money, who drives an older car, who shops at discount stores, and who prioritizes experiences over possessions. This humble identity feels virtuous and authentic, but it also creates resistance to wealth-building activities, because success would require changing how you present yourself to the world. Building wealth often involves making choices that increase your visible prosperity, living in a better neighborhood, driving a reliable car, investing in quality items, or spending money on things that improve your life. But for people with humble identities, These upgrades feel like pretentious displays of wealth rather than practical improvements in quality of life. You might avoid pursuing higher-paying opportunities because they would require presenting yourself differently, or resist investing in yourself because spending money on personal development feels selfish. This identity-based resistance to visible wealth keeps you trapped in financial limitation because building real wealth eventually requires some external changes that reflect your improved financial position. You can't build significant wealth while maintaining the exact same lifestyle and self-presentation, because wealth building necessarily involves some level of lifestyle improvement that humble identity interprets as moral compromise. Your insights about humble identity versus wealth accumulation reveal deep psychological patterns, but Freud discovered that good people often stay poor because they prioritize being liked and accepted over building financial security. Wealth can create social tension. Family members might resent your success, friends might feel uncomfortable with financial differences, and communities might view wealth accumulation suspiciously. Good people, who deeply value harmony and acceptance, often unconsciously limit their financial success to maintain social relationships and avoid conflict. You might turn down promotions that would create income disparities with friends, avoid investment opportunities that might seem risky or aggressive to your social circle, or give away money to maintain equality in relationships. This people-pleasing around money prevents wealth building because you're optimizing for social comfort rather than financial growth. You'd rather stay financially limited than risk being perceived as greedy, showing off, or caring too much about money. This creates a psychological ceiling where you unconsciously prevent financial success that might threaten your relationships or social acceptance. The irony is that this financial limitation often creates more stress and relationship problems than wealth would, but you continue choosing poverty over the risk of social disapproval. Your desire to be loved and accepted becomes more important than building the financial security that would actually improve your ability to maintain relationships and help others. I can see from your responses that people-pleasing affects financial decisions. But here's what Freud discovered about another way goodness prevents wealth. Good people often have unconscious beliefs about deservingness that make them feel unworthy of financial success. If you grew up with messaging about earning your keep, not being entitled, or appreciating what you have, you might unconsciously believe that you don't deserve wealth unless you've suffered sufficiently for it. This creates internal resistance to opportunities that seem too good to be true, or financial success that comes relatively easily. You might sabotage good investment opportunities because you don't feel worthy of the returns, turn down higher-paying jobs because you don't believe you deserve that level of compensation, or give away windfalls because having money you didn't struggle for feels unearned. This unworthiness programming often manifests as imposter syndrome around money. Even when you do well financially, you feel like you're getting away with something or that you'll eventually be found out as not deserving your success. These deservingness issues keep you trapped in financial limitation because you unconsciously believe that good people should have to work harder and suffer more for their money. You might even believe that easy money or passive income is somehow cheating, that real virtue requires trading time and effort for every dollar earned. This creates resistance to wealth-building strategies that could improve your financial position without requiring proportional suffering or effort. Your recognition of deservingness issues shows growing awareness, but Freud discovered that good people often stay poor because they confuse enabling others with helping them, which drains their resources while actually harming the people they're trying to help. Your generosity and willingness to help others financially often creates dependency rather than empowerment, but because you're focused on being good rather than being effective, you continue financial behaviors that feel virtuous but produce poor outcomes for everyone involved. You might consistently lend money to family members who never repay you, support friends through financial crises without helping them develop better money management skills, or give to charities without researching their effectiveness. This helping behavior makes you feel like a good person, but it often prevents others from developing financial responsibility while draining your own resources. Your desire to be helpful overrides your judgment about what actually helps, leading to financial decisions that satisfy your need to feel generous but don't create positive outcomes. The people you're helping often become financially dependent on your assistance, rather than developing their own wealth-building capabilities, while you remain poor because you're constantly giving away resources that could be building your own financial foundation. True help often requires setting boundaries, teaching skills, and building your own resources so you can help more effectively over time. But good people often choose immediate emotional satisfaction of giving over long-term strategic helping. I can see from your comments that enabling versus helping describes many of your experiences. But here's what Freud discovered about the most limiting aspect of money guilt. Good people often believe that building wealth requires compromising their values, when actually, wealth provides the resources to live those values more fully. You've been conditioned to see money as corrupting, rather than as a tool that amplifies whatever values you already possess. This creates false dichotomy thinking where you believe you must choose between being good and being wealthy, when actually wealth enables goodness at a larger scale. Rich good people can donate more to effective charities than poor good people. Wealthy good people can support family members through education, rather than just emergency bailouts. Financially secure good people can volunteer their time for causes they care about rather than working constantly to meet basic needs. Your money guilt prevents you from recognizing that wealth building aligned with your values creates more capacity for good than poverty with good intentions. The billionaires who've pledged to give away their fortunes can impact global problems in ways that well-intentioned poor people cannot. This doesn't mean money automatically makes people good, but it does mean that good people with money can accomplish more good than good people without money. Your resistance to wealth building based on moral concerns often prevents you from developing the resources that could allow you to live your values more effectively and help others more substantially. Your stories about money as a tool for good show evolving perspective, but Freud discovered the ultimate irony about good people and wealth. Your moral values, properly applied, would actually guide you toward building wealth responsibly rather than avoiding wealth entirely. True goodness involves stewardship, taking care of resources so they can be used effectively for positive purposes. This means building wealth through ethical means, managing money responsibly, and using financial success to create positive impact. Your moral compass could guide you toward sustainable wealth-building strategies, socially responsible investing, and businesses that create value for others while building your own financial security. The problem isn't that you have moral values. It's that you've misapplied those values to justify financial limitation rather than using them to guide ethical wealth building. Good people should build wealth because they can be trusted to use it well, because they'll consider the impact of their financial decisions on others, and because they'll use their resources to create positive change. Your goodness is actually a qualification for wealth building, not a disqualification from it. The world needs more good people with resources, not more good people without them. Your moral values become wealth-building assets when you recognize that financial success enables greater generosity, more effective helping, and larger positive impact than good intentions without resources can achieve. As we conclude this exploration into why good people finish poor, I want you to understand something profound that Freud discovered. Your goodness is not incompatible with wealth. Your beliefs about goodness and wealth are what create the incompatibility. The same moral values that make you a good person, compassion, integrity, desire to help others, are exactly the values that should motivate you to build wealth responsibly. This means reframing wealth building from selfish pursuit to moral obligation, from greedy accumulation to stewardship development. True goodness involves building the resources that enable you to live your values more fully and help others more effectively. This requires examining and updating unconscious beliefs about money that prevent you from building wealth, developing comfort with having more than others so you can give more than others, and learning to see financial success as expanding your capacity for good rather than compromising your moral identity. Your goodness becomes a wealth-building asset when you direct it toward creating resources for positive impact rather than using it to justify financial limitation. The goal isn't to become less good, it's to become good with resources, generous with abundance, and helpful with effectiveness rather than just good intentions. The world needs your values, but it needs your values backed by the financial resources that make those values maximally effective in creating positive change.